Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, igama lam nguYolanda, and this is Property Talk with Yours, where we talk all things property and we equip you guys to make the best property investment decisions, i.e. basically you learn from my mistakes. As our fave Maya Angelou always says, when you know better, you do better. And this channel is all about making sure that you guys know better. So today's topic is a little bit spicy, but I really wanted us to have some real talk, okay? So obviously as a new YouTuber, I pretty much, plan my content or schedule it for the next 4 to 6 weeks. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to take a break from that content because this is a very important conversation that we need to have. And I'm not going to beat around the bush. As you guys can see from the title of this video, I am thinking of selling both of my properties. Oh my God. Yep, you heard right. I am thinking of selling both of the properties that I currently own. Okay, let's just take a moment. Okay, so where do I start? I think since starting this YouTube journey and embarking on this investment property journey, one of the things I'm most grateful for and I'm really enjoying is the network of property investors that I've started to build. So obviously I have the community of all you guys that watch my channel and engage with my content, which has been amazing. But also I've had the chance to really connect with people who are doing the same thing that I am. Either they also have YouTube channels or they're also property investors. And and I've also attended a few property sermons and property workshops as well. So it's been really nice to sort of immerse myself in that space, and it's been such an amazing learning curve. Earlier this week, I had a virtual session with Neo and Lebu from Nong. If you guys don't know them, I will link down their YouTube channel below. But basically, Ulebu and Neo, they have a YouTube channel called Nong. But also Nong is their brand, i.e. they have a property business that they run. They invest in property, and they also host like property workshops throughout the country. So yeah, so we had a virtual session and we connected and we basically talked all things property. And I had so much fun. Like, it was amazing. It was great. They had such a wealth of knowledge to share, and yeah, we had such great conversations. And during that conversation that we had, I literally had like an aha moment. Like, this is something that I've always known. This is something that I thought about at the back of my mind. But after having that conversation with them, I was like, girl, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Do you even understand what it means to invest in property? Because whatever you're doing right now, you are not investing in property. You are not investing in property, okay? And this channel, as I've mentioned before, even in my introduction, it's all about how to equip you guys to make the best property investment decisions. And right now, it doesn't feel like I am making the best property investment decisions. So let's just backtrack a little. Why do I feel like I'm not actually investing in property, and what led to me making this decision of I actually think I should sell both of my properties, not just one, but actually both of them. So if you guys remember the second video I posted where I talked about the top 5 reasons why you should invest in property, and of those top 5 reasons, the number one most important one, which should be everyone's property investment strategy, is you need to invest in a positive cash flow property, i.e. your property needs to make you money on a monthly basis from the day that you buy your property. If it doesn't make you money, then it is not an investment property. So remember guys, we don't buy property for likes, we don't buy property for retweets, and we certainly don't buy property for clout. We only buy property when it makes financial sense. And when does a property make financial sense? When you are cash flowing positively. I need to repeat that, guys. We only buy property when it makes financial sense, and that means it needs to have a positive cash flow. Okay, that is like the all-time mantra of property investing. And I know we've always been told that if you buy a property, it's an asset, and let me tell you now, it is not true. Right? What is an asset? An asset is something that actually makes you money. It has to generate income, right? Which is why it's important that the property you buy has to have a positive cash flow, i.e., it is generating you income and it is making you money. If that property is not making you money, you cannot call it an investment property. And secondly, you definitely cannot call it an asset. And I know for a fact that there's so many of you out there who own property and don't realize that you're actually carrying a liability, right? If something is taking money away from you, if it's not generating any sort of income, then it's definitely a liability. And listen, I get it, right? There are certain liabilities that we buy knowing there are liabilities. For example, when we buy a car knowing that that's a liability, right? But we buy the liability because we know we need it for transport to get from point A to point B. We know it's going to depreciate in value over time, but it's something that we need and we accept that, right? But if you are buying an investment property, right, the only time it can become an asset is when it has a positive cash flow, i.e., it's generating income for you. Otherwise, that house is a liability. We live in a world or a culture at the moment where I think a lot of young people are under this immense pressure of buying property and owning property. You know, the younger you are when you buy property, the more accomplished you are. And I know we all want to have our names on the title deed because it feels like an accomplishment and it feels good, I guess. And I mean, I've been there and I know how great that feeling is of knowing that you own property. And I also understand the advantages that come with actually having your own place and owning your own place, right? We all want a place that we can call home, that's ours. If you have kids, you obviously want your kids to grow up in a place that they can call home. And also just having the freedom to be able to sort of decorate your house the way that you want to and not have any limitations. And also just, I guess, the emotional fulfillment that you also get for owning a property. And I get all those advantages, right? And they are valid. But I need you guys to be aware that when you buy a property to live in, chances are when you buy that property at that point, when you buy that property at that point, you are buying a liability that probably has potential to become an asset. And because you're not renting out this property, you are living in this property. You're obviously paying off your home loan, your bond. You're also paying the rates, the levies, you're maintaining the property, you're paying insurance. So basically it's taking money away from you. Now I know some of you are probably thinking of, natural appreciation. And the idea is that this property will then appreciate over time. And then I'm able to sell it at a higher price than what I bought it at. Therefore, I would have made money, right? And that's what makes it an asset. But I need you guys to understand that natural appreciation of a property is not a guarantee. Someone actually once said to me that relying on the natural appreciation of a property like on its own to make money is the same as walking into Monte Casino in 4 ways and gambling. That's exactly what it is. It's a prediction and the future is unpredictable. We could have a housing crash 5 years from now and your property loses half its value. And that's a situation where you rely on the natural appreciation of a property to make you money. So I need you to accept the fact that if you buy a property and you live in it, it could be a liability that you buy because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. And that's okay, right? I think at some point we all want to have our own place. And I did mention the benefits that come with owning a property. But then I need you to accept and be aware of the fact that you are buying a liability. The only way that property can be an asset is if that property is making you money. And the only way that property can make you money is if you are renting it out and getting a positive cash flow from that rental income. In my head, especially if you're young, it makes sense to, and if you're looking to make money or invest in property, for me, it makes sense to rent for as long as you can, right? Because when you're renting, you have minimal expenses. The only thing you're paying is the rent for that place, right? You're not worried about rates and taxes, levies, maintaining the place. So like if the geyser bursts, that's not your problem. No worries about insurance and all of that stuff, right? So all you do is you pay the rental income and you're keeping your expenses as low as possible. Then the first property that you buy, you then buy to rent out, but make sure it has a positive cash flow, i.e. that property isn't making you money and that positive cash flow comes to you. Let's go back to my properties and let's talk a bit about my properties and how I came to this decision. So I bought my first property in 2017. I lived in it for 2 years, rented it out. And remember, guys, I always say that even if you buy a property to live in, chances are you will move out, right? And at that point, you have a choice to either sell it or rent it out. And if you do rent it out, it does not guarantee a positive cash flow, i.e. your income greater than your expenses on the property. Anyway, rented that property out. I then bought a second property in 2019. I stayed there for a year and I rented that one out. Now, if we look at the cash flow analysis of both of my properties, as it stands right now, property 1 has a negative cash flow, okay? i.e. the rental income I get on property 1, which is 8,000 Rand a month, is not enough to cover my bond repayment, the rates and levies, the taxes, insurance, and managing the property. I have to spend an extra 500 Rand or supplement an extra 500 Rand from my income to cover all these costs, right? Which means my expenses are 8.5 and I am getting 8,000 Rand rental income. So this property already is a liability because it's basically taking money away from me. Now, let's look at property 2. Property 2 was a much wiser decision, even though at that time when I bought the property, I didn't have the knowledge that I have today. But property 2 is situated in Waterfall. This property has a positive cash flow, right? So this property, I receive rental income of 9,320 Rand. And my total expenses on this property, so my bond repayments, as I mentioned, taxes and rates, levies, insurance, management, all of that, come to about 8,500 Rand. So I am making about 800 Rand cash flow, positive cash flow on this property. So property 1, I'm losing 500 Rand. Property 2, I am making 800 Rand. Net for both of my properties, one I'm losing 500 Rand, one I'm making 800 Rand. So net I'm actually making a supplementary income of 300 Rand a month on both my properties. 300 Rand a month. Okay, that is 1, 2, 300 Rand that I'm making on my properties a month. Okay. Now, if we look at the appreciation of these properties, right? Luckily for me, both properties, or at least the market value of both properties, is higher than it was when I bought those properties 2 years or 4 years ago. So they have appreciated over time. But again, as I said to you, that the future is unpredictable. The market could crash tomorrow, literally, or in the next 2 hours. Something could happen. We have World War III and the market crashes, and those properties could lose half of their value tomorrow. Now remember, the only thing that I have control over and the only thing I can guarantee on my properties is the cash flow I'm making every month. And as I said, right now, it's just 300 Rand of both the properties combined. What I don't have control over is the appreciation and what happens tomorrow and how the market reacts. That I have no control over, which is why it's so important. You can't just rely on the natural appreciation of a property. Guys, it's like gambling. And I guess investing is gambling in a way, but the nice thing about property investing is that with cash flow, you have control over your investment from the get-go. If you buy stocks in the market, if you buy Bitcoin, you have absolutely no control over what happens to that, right? And there's no other way you can control that. You literally have to pray and hope that the shares you bought will increase over time, that the Bitcoin you bought will increase over time, that the stocks you bought will increase over time. And as I mentioned so many times, the market is so unpredictable. And that's why I'm still such a fan and an avid fan of investing in property, because there is an element of it where you can make money and you have control over how much money you are going to make. Now let's go back to my 300 Rand cash flow. Guys, knowing what I know now, I have the knowledge. I've built a network of property investors, people who are able to make a positive cash flow of between 2,000 to 4,000 Rand on a single property, i.e., your rental income minus all your expenses, and you're making a profit of between 2,000 to 4,000 Rand, right? Those are people who understand what it means to invest in property. And you know what? I realized what I'm doing, I'm not investing in any property, guys. I am not investing in any property. Remember, right now, interest rates are at the lowest that they've ever been in so many years, right? But what happens if the interest rate goes up tomorrow? It means my bond repayment goes up, which means that while I'm making a positive cash flow on property number 2, that bond repayment could go up and I could end up making a negative cash flow, right? Because it's just like an extra 800 Rand. And on property number 1, I could even end up making more of a negative cash flow on that property, right? So to me, this doesn't feel like property investing. To me, this feels like I just own 2 properties. I have my name on these 2 title deeds. Yes, they're mine. It feels good to say it, but I'm not really making any money, guys. And what's the point of investing if you're not really making any money? And I always also speak about the emotional attachment that we have to our properties. And I am emotionally attached to both properties. The first one, I lived in there for 2 years. The second one, I lived in there for a year. Like, that was my home, okay? I used to host my friends. My families have been there. But this is about making money, right? This is about me realizing the fruits of my labor today. Honestly, I'm just at that point where I am ready to walk the talk. Okay, like, I want to get my hands dirty and I really want to get into what it means to invest in property. Now, don't get me wrong. Finding a property that has a positive cash flow is not just you going on Property 24 and browsing for a property. It doesn't work like that, right? Because in order for your property to have a positive cash flow, you have to, number 1, buy it below market value. So if you are browsing on the web and they say this 1-bedroom apartment is going for 500K, you need to be able to negotiate and buy it for at least, I don't know, 400 or 380,000 Rand, right? And obviously it's very difficult to be able to find those properties. I know I've read a couple of books where they always talk about you have to find a distressed seller, someone who needs to get rid of a property as in yesterday for whatever reason. They could be relocating abroad. They could be, maybe they can't afford their bond repayments. Whatever the issue is, you are the solution to their problems, right? And because they are a distressed seller, you are then able to negotiate and get a lower price for the property. All right, I think I have vented enough. So what is my game plan actually? What is my game plan? I am thinking of selling my 2 properties. I don't live in them, and my plan is to rent for the foreseeable future because I want to keep my expenses as low as possible. So I'm not interested in paying my own rates and levies and all that stuff, but I am interested in acquiring property that's going to give me a positive cash flow. 1, 2, 3, even 4 properties. And right now, the properties I have, even though I am emotionally attached to them, are not making me any money. Luckily, as I mentioned before, both properties, or did I mention that? I don't know. But both properties have appreciated in value. The waterfall one more than my first one. So I've done like a rough calculation to say that if I do sell both properties at the market value that they're going for at the moment, And then minus all the other expenses that come with selling a property, the biggest one being obviously the estate agent fee, which is about 5 to 7% or 8%. But if I sell both properties and I pay the banks what I owe them, I'll probably make a profit of about 200,000 Rand. That's like 200,000 Rand coming directly to me in my bank account, right? That would have been the profit made from those properties. And my game plan is to then utilize that money plus some of the savings I have to increase my affordability, right? Because remember, if you're buying an investment property, you don't want to use your money. You want to use someone else's money. You want to use the bank's money, okay? Use the bank's money and get someone else to pay the bank off when I'm getting down, you know? So use those savings to increase my affordability, still using the bank's money, but make sure that this time I buy positive cash flow properties. Positive cash flow properties. I want to embark on a journey with all the knowledge that I have acquired and I have learned and all the network that I have built. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. But I want to acquire positive cash flow properties because that's how you make money and that's what it means to invest in property. Otherwise, then you just have your name on the title deed and that's it. Okay, so yeah, this is a journey I want to start. It's not going to happen overnight, and I actually want to take you guys with me along on that journey. A part of me wants to keep the waterfall property because of the good appreciation that I'm seeing. And because that area is still being developed, and I am still making a positive cash flow on the waterfall property, but the first one has to go. The first one, without a doubt, has to go. So I want to start that process of selling my property, and take you guys with me along on this journey. Like, as I said, it's not going to happen overnight. I might come across some obstacles. I might even make a big investment property mistake or hoo-ha. Like, I don't know. But this is something that I'm really interested in doing and embarking on. And I never for a second thought I would sell the 2 properties I currently have. Or at least not this soon, right? But now I know that all the ideals that I had in the past about owning property, they don't make sense. And nandiyaithanda imali. I like money, okay? And I want to make more of it. And if I'm in a position where I'm equipped with knowledge and I know what I'm doing right now is not working, then I can't continue doing it. Like, I just can't. And it breaks my heart thinking that I have to sell my properties, but that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I will take you guys on the journey. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I can just imagine my excitement when I acquire my first cash positive property. Oh my God! That would be such a great moment. But yeah, I'm excited, and let's see where this takes us. So I will still be posting relevant content on my channel, giving you guys just tips on how to navigate the journey of actually investing in property and things to look out for. But at the same time, I'll be taking you on my own journey of acquiring investment properties, right? And I might make more mistakes in the future, but I mean, that's the only way we learn. You know what I'm going to do actually? I think next week or in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to do like a whole cash flow analysis of my 2 current properties, like a proper income, expenses, ROI, appreciation, so you guys can understand how I work out the numbers and why these 2 properties are not a good investment, right? And how and this is something I knew. This is something I obviously knew, but I didn't realize the importance of cash flow. I was just thinking of natural appreciation of my properties. Like, waterfall is a booming area. It's going to grow in value. But guys, cash flow is king. I mean, think about it. If you guys have a business, the number one indicator that your business is doing well is when you have a healthy cash flow. If there's no cash flow, then something is definitely not right. So yeah, I'll do that. I'll definitely do like a full cash flow analysis and show you guys the numbers and what you should do if you are thinking of getting an investment property as well. Okay, I think we have come to the end of this video. I am hoping I made complete sense. And guys, if there's one thing that you need to remember is that we only buy properties that have a positive cash flow. Otherwise, ultimately, you are buying a liability. And the only thing we have to rely on is natural appreciation of the property, which is not guaranteed. And it's okay. If you want to buy a liability to live in, by all means, go ahead. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And yeah, I'm so excited to take you on this journey along with me. And I'll see you in, I don't want to say next week's video because I've been so bad with my consistency of posting, but in the next video. Guys, please don't forget to like this video, to comment down, to engage, to share this video with everyone else. Like, let me know what you're thinking, guys. Maybe me selling these properties is a bad idea. I don't know, but just let me know, engage with me. If you have questions on the journey, questions on mistakes I've made, please ask. Like, I literally reply to every single comment in my videos. So please start by liking this video right now, please.